What is Canada really doing in Europe right now? Why was Canada invited as the only non-European country to this major summit? Is this about new alliances or something bigger? And is Canada quietly preparing for a world where old partnerships may no longer be enough?
CTV News political commentator and former director of communications for Prime Minister Paul Martin, Scott Reid, joins me now. Scott, good morning to you. So let's talk about the Prime Minister's trip to Armenia. How strategically important is it for Canada continuing to forge these ties, strengthen these ties with Europe?
Well, but take a look at what Carney said in his speech to the European community when he addressed them, picking up on Graham's point about Davos and its long shadow. He said, listen, we, Canada and Europe, we don't want to be part of a world that is transactional, that's insular, right? He was talking about the United States. He's talking about a world where Donald Trump doesn't like the fact that the Europeans have not come to his rescue in the Strait of Hormuz. And so what's he do? He removes 5,000 troops from West Germany. What does he do? He puts new tariffs on EU in defiance of the fact that they have a new trade deal that he himself negotiated and inked just a few short months ago. That's what Carney's getting at. That's what's resonating with those European leaders, because they're saying, yes, this guy captures in words and in spirit what we need to do. We're going to have to bulk up and work together if we're going to have any hope of withstanding the onslaught from a capricious United States.
Subscribe to Canada Now for clear, unbiased explanations of what's happening in Canada and the world. In his address at the European Political Community Summit, the Prime Minister begins by thanking European leaders for the invitation, framing Canada's presence as both symbolic and strategic. He emphasizes that Canada is deeply connected to Europe, not geographically, but historically, culturally, and politically. Millions of Canadians trace their roots to Europe, and shared values like democracy, rule of law, and freedom continue to shape this relationship. He highlights Canada's role in global security, pointing to its contributions to Ukraine, leadership within NATO operations in Latvia, and cooperation with European nations on Arctic defense. These examples are used to reinforce a key message. Canada is not just aligned with Europe in principle, but actively involved in defending shared interests. But the speech quickly shifts toward a broader and more important theme. The world is changing. There is what he describes as a rupture across multiple dimensions, including technology, energy, trade, and geopolitics. Systems that once provided stability are now under strain. Global integration, once seen as a strength, is increasingly being used as leverage or even as a weapon by powerful actors. This leads to one of the central ideas of the speech. Countries must now deal with reality, not ideal expectations. The message is clear. Nostalgia for the old global order is not a strategy. Instead, nations must adapt to a more complex, competitive, and sometimes unpredictable world. Within this context, the concept of strategic autonomy becomes critical. The speech outlines how security and prosperity today extend beyond traditional areas like defense and energy. Modern strength includes control over semiconductors, digital infrastructure, critical minerals, supply chains, and even financial systems. These are the foundations of national resilience in today's world. Canada positions itself as a key partner in building these capabilities. The speech highlights recent progress, including billions of dollars in critical mineral deals and ongoing cooperation with European partners across technology, artificial intelligence, and energy sectors. Canada is presented as both a resource-rich country and a reliable partner that can contribute to long-term stability. Energy is another major focus. Canada is described as an energy superpower with significant oil, natural gas, and renewable resources. At the same time, there is a commitment to addressing climate change while ensuring energy remains reliable and affordable. This balance is framed as part of Canada's broader role in supporting both economic and environmental goals. The speech also emphasizes that partnerships must be built on trust. Rather than relying on uncertain global systems, the focus is on working closely with like-minded countries. Europe is positioned as one of those key partners with shared interests across security, trade, and innovation. At a deeper level, this speech is not just about Europe. It reflects a shift in how Canada is thinking about its place in the world. The repeated emphasis on diversification, strategic partnerships, and reduced reliance on any single country suggests a broader recalibration of foreign policy. While no country is directly named, the message indirectly points toward concerns about unpredictability in global leadership, particularly from major powers. The idea that rules are no longer constraining dominant actors suggests a world where traditional alliances may not always function as expected. In that sense, this speech can be understood as part of a larger strategic signal. Canada is preparing for a future where it must rely more on diversified partnerships and less on historical dependencies. Europe becomes central to that strategy, not as a replacement, but as a balancing force. The closing message reinforces this idea. The belief expressed is that the future international order will be shaped significantly by Europe and its partners. Canada sees itself as part of that process, contributing to a system that aims to be more stable, cooperative, and resilient. In simple terms, the speech delivers three key messages. First, Canada is deeply aligned with Europe and wants to strengthen that relationship. Second, the global system is changing, and countries must adapt quickly. And third, building trusted partnerships is now more important than ever. Subscribe to Canada Now for more clear and simple explanations of global events and Canada's role in them.